So what I want us to do is to start becoming more conscious, start choosing things in a better way for ourselves, and start creating a life that's going to gear us to really take advantage of the opportunities that are going to show up for us in the years to come.
This podcast is brought to you by The Integrated Human. We work up, down, inside out to plug yourself into your potential. If you want to see what we are up to and what's next, sign up to our newsletter or follow us on social media. If you like what we are doing, we really appreciate it if you can like our post on social media and YouTube and help us grow.
Welcome to the Big and Small Podcast. I'm Jason Shields and I'm big.
And I'm Marit Gabrielsen and I'm the tiny one.
Oh yeah, we're back.
I'm always excited. Do he make the intro?
Oh, I made one mistake one time.
No, you made it twice.
Oh, come on now. Which you counting on all the fingers now.
Okay, really, because I forgot to remind you about the intro. Like, will he be able to do it? Because we only do one take. You made it.
Thank God.
We're here.
Yes. So we have had a lot of exciting action and guests and beautiful things rolling out. We've been super busy.
Yes.
And we have, of course, secret events, meditation events. We have training, competition thoughts. We have mental, emotional leveling up. We have group dynamics. There's a whole bunch of stuff we've been working with.
Yeah, it feels like a month has gone by, and I think it's 2 weeks.
Yeah, right?
It's been a lot of different stuff.
Absolutely.
Very much. Mm-mm.
So one of the themes that we've been, working with and talking about is that in one of our early podcasts, we talked about Michael Jordan and how Michael Jordan was able to access his emotional state, align himself for action, and get things done. So he was in a situation as a child where his older brother was a basketball phenom and he wanted to try out for the high school team and he didn't make it. And he just got pushed to the side, just, disrespected. And the way he described it was he's completely empty of all emotions. He was just broken. And his mother said, you're going to let them do that to you? You're going to let that be your last time on the basketball court? And he got this kind of feeling of, he's not going to let them disrespect him like that. And he was able to fuel himself. And then he just started working. And he had a coach at the high school that saw potential in him, knew his brother probably, and decided to put some extra effort into him as well. So nobody gets to the top by themselves. People have a network. People have people around them to help support them, especially when they're high and when they're low. So he learned how to use this whole dynamic of you shall not disrespect the Jordan and turn that into world domination. He became the best basketball player, if you guys know, in history, and he's a legend and all that. The issue is that when that is your way of feeling powerful, your access to superhuman activity, when you then retire from basketball, how easy is it to drop that? He would even figure out ways, he would make up scenarios in his head to feel disrespected so he could destroy his opponent the next day on the court. So when you're fueled by negative emotion, because as we talked about before, we have to integrate and accept all of our emotions, right? Mm-hmm. And we have to channel them into good use, mm-hmm. right? Because what are emotions?
Fuel.
They're fuel. That's what they are. They're energy in motion. That's what it is. The question is, are you able to take control of your emotions so that that fuel goes in the direction you want it to? Or you're lighting yourself on fire and lighting your friends on fire and lighting your house on fire. It is fuel. So the consequences of being Michael Jordan are that he has to constantly put himself into situations where he's disrespected in order to rise to the occasion. So how easy do you think that is to live with?
It's not very easy to live with, no.
No, not for him and not for his family, probably. And if you've seen any of the later videos with him, of course, he's out betting on golf and gambling and, having hard nights. And because he's constantly looking for that feeling of charge, right? So when we find a pattern that works for us, self-hate, shame, joy, loyalty, patriotism, whatever it is, all of those things have a side effect, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So let's say that, you have to use shame and self-hate in order to push yourself. Like, oh, you'll never be good enough and you're just a piece of crap. And that's how you get your rise so that you can kind of break through the wall and make things happen for yourself. The problem is that when you're breaking yourself down, when you then are in the finals of the World Championship, or you're in the finals of the Formula One, or you're somewhere else, some of the side effects of that are, well, I've built up all this energy around the fact that I'm not good enough, and I have to constantly prove that I'm not good enough. But there's a residue. There's like this side effect of maybe not wanting to give yourself what you deserve and what you've worked for, because then you won't have drive and fuel. Because it's this dynamic of not being good enough that gives you what? Fuel and drive. So understanding that, people are like, oh, you have to look at your self-esteem. Well, it's not just that easy, because sometimes you can, in normal situations, think that you are fine, that you look good plus or minus or good-ish, and you behave good-ish, and your life is good-ish, or whatever it is, when you compare to other people. But when you really have to drive yourself through hardship, and you're using only that one mechanism, which is, self-hate or self-domination or whatever dialogue you're using, you have to be aware of that when the energy starts to rise, that that may affect you. Mm-hmm. Have you had any experiences like that?
I'm actually not clear in my head to answer the questions right now.
Okay.
So, yes, I will say yes, but I didn't understand the question. So you can come back to me.
Okay. You got it.
What I got out of it was that, because that's something I've been thinking about, was that all trauma is not good, but trauma will give you something until a certain point. Yep. And then at that point, because you can use what it gave you as fuel many times, but at one point it will actually be the thing that destroys you. So it will take you to a certain limit, like to the finals of a world championship, but it won't let you win. The pattern that you have is not functioning anymore. You're doing a presentation, your trauma, your feeling of self-lack of love drives you to be amazing in school and get you to the top school and get you to the top almost. But then it hits back at you. Because I think, because I've been thinking about that, and I don't know if that has anything to do with everything you said, but I've been thinking about trauma over the last week, and been thinking how it has been, how I see people use a traumatic experience, they can use that to fuel greatness, but at one point it's not functioning anymore. Because many things that trauma will be only destroying you, like it's only bad, and it's not good, but it's not only bad because you can use it often to something, but again, it will stop you from being amazing. It will limit you somehow, and that's when you really have to, that's what you have to deal with it, because it can give you self-hate and what was it Michael had? He had disrespect. Mm-hmm. But when it won't necessarily make your life great, because again, when you're done with basketball, what do you do then? Mm-hmm. Then you actually have to deal with the fact that you felt disrespected, and have felt disrespected for, I don't know how long you played, but 20 years, 30 years. Mm-hmm. And that's an issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting process because in the integrated human, among a lot of our coachings, we talk about trauma as being a reorganizational event because you need to reorganize yourself afterwards. So the question is a trauma useful for you or not? It will be decided on whether or not you're able to reorganize into a higher level of energy and focus and performance. That's what it is. So I traumatize my muscles in workouts. My muscles recover. My muscles get stronger. That's the way it is. I traumatize my hands when I use a hammer. I get a blister, but my body's able to recover. So I get calluses. I'm actually ready for the next time I work. But if I'm traumatized too many times in a row, or if I'm traumatized to a point where I have failure, like when I say failure, that I'm broken beyond the ability to reorganize and adapt, then I have an issue.
But then it's a downward spiral.
Yeah. Then you're not going to recover. The thing is, what I want to look at here is that having been put in a situation or putting yourself into a situation, everybody's like, oh, he traumatized me, she traumatized me. But very often we're putting ourselves in that situation. We are trying to push ourselves to the limit. He was trying out for the school and school basketball team, and he wasn't good enough. So it wasn't that they were being mean to him. He just was not good enough. And that's what spurred him on to become great. And people who are performers, like almost all of the people that we're coaching, they are people who want more out of life and will put themselves on the line. And putting yourselves on the line can create situations where you feel traumatized. That's just what it is. And the question is, number one, are you taking it personally? Are you realizing that, okay, it's not because you're a shitty person. It's not because you're a bad whatever you are necessarily. It could be the environment, but you evaluate the situation cleanly and then come back and figure out, what ritualistic ideas have I created? What ritualistic ideas have I created? And what I mean by that is, I never get that to work. Or it's very black and white thinking. Or, I'm just shit. Or, every time that guy walks by, then this happens. There are a lot of things, these rituals that we make up in our head that reality is like this because I had this experience. And it's like, nah, you know what? Guess what? That's actually that time. And that it works out for a lot of other people who are less talented than you. Then maybe you should give yourself a shot, maybe 2 or 3 shots, because people try 7, 8, 9 times for this thing and it doesn't work for you the first time and you give up. That kind of sucky. You're not really giving yourself a chance, right? So trauma often leads to survival mentality. And is survival thinking high level and complex, or is it very simple and direct?
Very simple and direct.
It's very simple and direct. So we often make a diamond hard like idea of the way things are. And sometimes that diamond will help you channel your energy. Like, whoa, I put my hand on the stove and it got burnt, baby. Woo! And to not put your hand on the stove, that's clear in my mind. That's diamond-like. Like, I'm not putting my hand on that hot plate again. I will look at it. I just feel it a little bit before I touch it to see if it's hot, and that's useful, right? So in terms of like concrete survival in a jungle, these things can be very useful. The problem is that we live in such a complex world today with so many challenges and so many interactions. Like you have,
I think that's one of the biggest issues, all interactions.
Yeah, it's too many interactions.
Because you get traumatized everywhere you go.
Yeah. It's very easy.
Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, the street.
Yeah, exactly.
The coworker you work with, your kids, your husband. Like, there are potential booby traps everywhere.
Yeah, man. Before, like in the 80s, you could sit yourself in a dark room and you'd be okay. But now you're in a dark room. What are you doing?
You sit on your phone.
You're looking on your phone. Like this generation that's here now, they don't live with their phone. They live in their phone. Not even on their phone. I'm on my phone. But people today in their 20s, they're in their phone. They hardly have friends in their real life. They have all of their friends on Facebook in their gaming situation, their Discords or whatever. It's crazy. So there's no peace to be had if that mobile phone's with you all the time. Now, just so like the Marit says, MTG, my absolutely most favorite philosopher of this modern age, she says, donkey ears. Get off your phone sometimes. Take a break. Get away from that crap. Don't, especially when you're exhausted, don't just be scrolling and just filling your brains with crap.
Yeah, I noticed because I'm on. I talked about I have been on small Instagram and Facebook breaks before.
Yeah, like a fast.
Yeah, I've kind of after 6 I just log off. I'm for different reasons we will come back to in a later episode. I'm now actually off Instagram because I found Instagram to be most donkey ears harmful in my experience, because it's my Facebook is not that exciting. It's not that much happening. But on Instagram I just end up scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So I have logged off Instagram. I'm using it if I post to Integrate Human, but that's it. I do not interact with people. I only respond if I get a message, because I have some friends that speak on Instagram and not on Facebook.
Yeah.
But that's it. I'm not scrolling or doing anything on it. I'm really hard on it.
Good.
And I noticed because it was a week or 2 weeks ago, I was feeling so shit, mental, emotional, physically. I was feeling like sort of like getting the sniffles. I was alone at home. All I wanted was pizza, and not the good one. I want the frozen pizza. I just didn't feel good. And I was watching TV, so I was doing something. And I picked up my phone every other minute without thinking about it. And of course, nothing happened because I picked it up. I went on Instagram and it's logged out. I'm like, okay, and put it back again. 2 minutes later, it's back in my hand.
That's right.
Pushed Instagram. Nothing happened because it's logged out.
Yep.
So it happened. I noticed, and after the 10th time, like, what's happening?
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about it.
Yeah.
I have like a desperate craving, like, you know, when you want sugar, you just want something sweet.
Yeah.
And you can't kind of, the craving is so intense that you can't kind of stop until you have sugar in your mouth.
Yeah, yeah.
That was the feeling.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was just, this is not healthy. And I understood it was a sickness, not sickness craving, but I was feeling bad. So I wanted to get Instagram to make me feel even worse.
Pleasure me, Instagram.
And it's not pleasure.
No.
Pleasure was the thing I was watching on TV. I was watching a movie I wanted to watch.
Yeah, yeah. That's it.
Because I like how I actually disconnect is I look at, well, right now it's not a good series. I watching Vampire Diaries.
Oh!
But
I've seen it too.
it is because I need to finish it because I started a long time ago. But I'm looking. I think I was watching actually a very great movie, and not Lethal Weapon, but I was watching something good, and because that's how I disconnect. I'm like, now I'm just pausing myself a little bit doing that, but I'm still on the fucking phone. Sorry for swearing, but it was so intense, and I could only feel it's not for pleasure. I'm doing what I want for pleasure. And I'm taking up Instagram only because it's going to make me feel worse.
Yeah, that's it.
Like 10 times.
Yeah.
And I didn't even, not on purpose. It wasn't, I'm not going to pick up my phone, push on Instagram and scroll, because if I had thought it, I wouldn't do it because I know I am logged out.
Yeah,
but every time I pushed it, I was like, oh yeah, I'm logged out. And then I put it under the, and I even tried to put it under the pillow.
Yeah, exactly.
But then I'm laying on the pillow and the hand sneaks under, takes it out, pushes Instagram again.
And you're like, oh shit.
I'm like,
yeah,
what's happening to me?
Yeah.
So I put it on the other living room.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't need this. And I have the sound on, so I know that if I get a message from a friend on Instagram or Snapchat, I can answer. But you are gonna go over there, and because I have to actually stand up and get you to push it, because it was so intense, that need for scrolling. And again, I knew it wasn't for pleasure. It was just to make you feel worse. Because when are you scrolling on Instagram to make you feel better?
Yeah, that's it. Well, people.
If you do, please say me.
Yeah.
Tell me what you're scrolling on, because even
Yeah.
watching enough puppies, you get a little bit tired of them.
Yeah, you get tired of them. And that's the whole point. It's like, it's literally this, I'm passive and I need to be pleasured, distracted. I need to be filled with something because I'm actually feeling a lack of something at that moment. Because we go through these cycles like every hour where we're up and down in terms of our emotional state. People who are actually living in their emotional state can tell you this, you're affected quite a bit by the things that are watching, things that are around you. And there's some comfort in ritualistic behavior, which is smoking a cigarette, looking at your watch, looking at your Instagram, doing something like that. It actually is, it's calming. So anytime that the energy starts to rise and you're not moving, actually, that's it. People don't know that, but in primal cultures, when the energy rises, what do? You move.
You hunt, I guess.
You hunt, you fight, you dance. That's because that's the reason why your emotions go up and down. It's not because you have some imaginary person that you admire or hate that's an influencer on Instagram who fictively looks perfect because they're using 17 filters and they're going to sell you some self-care stuff, which is just basically bullshit in a can. And they have no reason to be talking, and they're just making you feel horrible about your life and yourself.
If you look at all the commercials you look at, it's so, I love this body positive influencer that has these commercials, and they're selling only beauty stuff.
Yeah,
it's like love your hair, but here's some like let your hair grow is one thing everywhere, but you really want to get rid of those icky feet thing you have, then you need to buy this thing.
Yeah.
Like you kind of saying one thing and doing the other.
Yeah.
And also I found that if you are in a bad emotional state, then you're gonna search on the things that makes you feel worse.
Yeah, that's it.
You're not gonna search on, if you're feeling low, you're not gonna search on sunshine.
No.
You're gonna search on things, depression or war, like you're gonna something that is in a downward spiral.
Yeah, confirmation bias.
Yes,
which means you're gonna find what you look for.
Yes, and then you have all the trolls and the people, and you get traumatized because you post something, and then some people answer you and some people don't, and the people that didn't answer you, they traumatize you because if they didn't answer you, they must not love you, and then. It was a better time. It was less easy to get that traumatized from small things when in the 50s.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, big time. And this is the thing, guys. Midnight TV sales works for a reason, and that's because at that point you have less resistance. You have the ability to make about 600 choices a day, and you're like, oh, that's a whole lot. You basically use those up by afternoon. If many of the things that you do are routine, but like the research on psychology is that you have literally thousands of impulses hitting you from everywhere, everything from advertisements and signs and people and things that, are just pulling your attention everywhere and using.
We're living in a pop-up commercials.
We're all living.
Our life it has cookies everywhere.
Yeah, it's a moving pop-up commercial, right?
Like either it's popping up on your phone, but if not, you're going over the town square and it's food stands that has commercials.
Yeah,
and you have commercials without stores, and then
people
are working with Nike on them.
Yeah.
Like it's commercials everywhere.
Your life is branded, guys. Just saying that, and you very intelligent, talking about genius level people, often wear either the same clothes or the same type of clothes every single day, because that's one less choice they have to make that day, and they can use that choice and that energy for something else. When you have used up your choices for that day, your brain is basically a victim for what comes in. So when you're late, you're up late and you're feeling empty and tired and you're coming in at a low level, when these guys come in, hi, buy Juki for $19.95. And if you're quick, you can get this extra added bonus, blah, blah, right? And the next thing you know, your credit card's out and you're buying Juki or whatever the heck it was, And
ab workout
3000, exactly. Yet another one. Like, why have 4 of them in my bedroom? Why am I buying another one?
No, you're not 4 of them. You have 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. I know you bought the 4,000.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta upgrade. There's a logical reason I'm doing this.
Yes.
Yeah, and the same day they sell you cars, and you'll see this behavior often on people who are shopaholics as well, because they're feeling something inside that they need to pacify or a hole they need to fill. So they go out and they buy something that they know. So if you look at their closet, they have like 6 t-shirts, 6 white t-shirts. It's like, why do you have 6 white t-shirts? You could have had 2. Yeah, but I kind of know that white t-shirts is something I use. And yeah, I haven't used that other one, but 2 more is going to make me feel better, because then at least I know I have something covered,
In just in case.
just in case. So trauma, what is actual trauma? It's not just every time you react, because you can react to stuff. Trauma comes in when you are either defenseless and it completely overwhelms you, or it comes in at a higher energy level than you are. So what do I mean? So you're relaxing. I had this experience. I just had Thanksgiving dinner. Now, if I know we have listeners all over the world, but everybody pretty much has heard of Thanksgiving. It is mama's holiday. It is crazy. The family gets together and you eat way too much. It's all the stuff. And just as soon as you can start to move.
Don't you guys even baptize a chicken? No, you don't baptize it. Not a chicken, even. It's a turkey. What do you call? No, you pardon the turkey.
Oh, man,
Yes.
chicken. That's a huge turkey.
And but in the president, doesn't he pardon a turkey?
Yeah, it could be he pardons the turkey.
think
I don't
so.
know.
Anyways,
that's a gimmick. Come on now.
Yes.
Turkeys
And it's
didn't
not
do
a
anything
chicken,
wrong.
it's a turkey. Sorry.
Poor yeah, that's a turkey.
It's a turkey. So you eat turkey and all that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the whole point is that I'm sitting there and we're watching some football, and I'm not interested in American football anymore. I don't follow the teams as much because we're just too busy doing other things. And we're also...
And if you're gonna watch them not fight, they play.
They play.
They play. They do fight also, but they should play. Then you wouldn't. Well, you work, and it's time difference.
Yeah.
And
exactly
9 hours time difference. No, we can't do that.
Yeah, it's absurd for us. And we're jiu-jitsu fighters, so we're actually active at international competition levels ourselves, and we're trying to sleep. And there's a whole bunch of other factors that make it less interesting. So I traveled to the States and I'm sitting there and I'm watching this game on TV, and I'm not that greatly interested, and I'm super full. I'm just like so full that I'm literally sweating from the pain in my stomach. And so my energy level is at high or low at that point.
Low.
It's pretty low. And then a commercial for Hardee's comes on, which is like a fast food restaurant. And I'm watching this commercial and I'm like, yeah, some of those little chicken tenders look good. And I'm like, what am I thinking? My stomach is so big at that point. Like if I eat anything else, it's a hospital time. And suddenly I got a craving for these like chicken tenders. And I'm like, they're not even that good. Because the lights and the color and my brain wasn't active and I wasn't making choices about who I want to be and what I want in my life. So I came in low, ended up getting overwhelmed by gosh darn Hardee's commercial. That was crazy. And of course, I regulated myself. I took responsibility and I did not go get those chicken tenders, but I remember that moment. And I still remember that chicken tender. It freaked me out, right?
Need to get those next time.
That's it. So the problem is that many traumas come as an unexpected thing. You come in at a low level.
If you knew about it, most likely it wouldn't be that traumatizing.
Yeah.
I know, I just said, we're not
Yeah.
talking about the deep, horrible...
Yeah,
But
everyday trauma.
Everyday trauma.
Yeah.
And if you knew about it, it wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Because then you kind of, if you know something, now this patient is, but this person is coming in and yelling at me. I'm going to have a parent-teacher conference, and I know this parent is gonna most likely not be very happy because I know about these things. You kind of guard yourself a little bit more. You stand more in yourself.
Yeah.
You're ready. But if you are there after a whole day of teaching and you're feeling happy-go-lucky, and then this person comes storming in and bombarding you and hammers you down, telling you how bad you are in your job because their wonderful daughter can't do anything wrong, and that she called you a bitch. Well, most likely she had a good reason for that, because she doesn't do that if it's not necessary. And this is a 12-year-old, and you just getting overwhelmed, and then you go home thinking that you are the worst teacher ever. Mm-hmm. But if you knew this person was coming in,
Yeah, you'd be right. Okay,
You would be ready and calm
Mrs. Jones, and doesn't really accept the fact that her daughter's having behavioral issues, and little Jenny's a princess, and it's going to be
or
off
you
the
work
hook.
as a nurse, and it kind of this happens all the time. You get ambushed, basically.
Yeah, being ambushed, and you get ambushed by many things, including Instagram, right? So, and I just wanted to share with you a very interesting change in the epoch, the change in the environment. And that is that I went through a challenge when I was a kid. I got my first G-Shock watch. I was so proud of it. It was super thick and juicy, right?
It was a big watch.
Those were big watches, and I saved up and I bought that thing, and I checked the time, and I checked the time, and I checked the time. It was really cool. I could check the time. He would tell you what day it was, right? I mean, there's no calculators or anything on there. It was a timer. I would time my friends running back and forth.
It was a watch.
I felt so cool. It was a watch, right? But it was digital.
Yeah,
and it was G-Shock. You could hit that thing with a bomb, I thought. Well, that wasn't true, because I was playing some stupid game with my friends, and I think my wrist got caught on the fence, and it ripped it off my wrist. And I was like, oh, my friend, my watch, it's gone. And I had to wait like 4 weeks to get a new band for it, because I wanted the right one. I didn't want just any one. I wanted the right one. So I ordered it, and it took a long time back then. But I checked the time on the wrist that I didn't have a watch on 500 times a day, right? But how innocent is that? Like going, oh yeah, I don't have a watch. Oh yeah, I don't have a watch. Oh yeah, I don't have a watch. To, I'm on Instagram getting sold to. I'm on Instagram getting sold to.
And when you first end up scrolling, that's why it was so nice to log out, because it stopped there. But if it didn't, if I was logged on, would have been on there for half an hour.
Yeah, it's psychology.
You have trouble going to sleep. See if it's YouTube or Instagram or whatever you are scrolling on, because you get stuck.
You get stuck, and it excites you just enough to make an impression on you, and and we make a joke. Did your thumb hurt any less because you were stopped scrolling?
First time I ever heard that joke.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, right. Yes, finally. She almost laughed.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I'm sending Jason to comedy school soon.
Yeah.
This is not good. No, but it's insane. And if you think about how many, I know this was your watch, and I had Instagram. Mm-hmm. And then you just wonder how many things do we do like that every day?
So many. Those are the ritualistic things we do.
And figure out what they are would be very interesting.
Being self-reflective, taking breaks. Before we went on a fast, and it meant that you didn't have, your Starbucks and your milkshake and stuff, or maybe you cut out meat for a week, or maybe you, just had a fluid fast where you had smoothies, or sometimes you just stop eating completely and just drink water. Different kinds of fasts. But today you have to go on a tech fast, right? People do that. You get away. Getting away and resetting yourself, that, my friends, is very smart, to figure out what kind of ritualistic behaviors you have. What is it that really gets you like you don't have?
Yeah,
what
we have another one now. I'm pushing. I'm Jason is on the stand now, because we are cutting down on your coffee drinking.
Oh, yes, that's true.
Yes, we are.
And need to, by the way.
You need to.
Yes.
Because that's one of the... We had this wonderful podcast in the first season, I think, where we talked about why we love coffee.
Yes.
But it has also become an insane ritual.
Yeah.
And now we're trying to say after lunch-ish. I've said it doesn't... On vacation, it doesn't apply. But after lunch, we try to switch from coffee to tea and water and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you still, if it's some room between some patients, or you still go up and you can hear, you push on the coffee machine.
Yeah.
Because it's just because it's a ritual.
Yeah, and it's a
and
habit.
And then
I
ask you, do you want coffee? Because in my opinion, if you want coffee,
yeah, take it.
Take it.
Yeah.
But I'm asking you in the way of
no, I don't.
And you go, no.
No, I actually don't.
Just did that.
Yeah.
And then I say, yeah, but then you don't drink coffee.
Yeah, well, that's
because then let's choose something else, so
Yeah.
you can make a conscious decision about if you're gonna drink coffee or not. Mm-hmm. And it's just interesting how many of these things we have, and how they kind of just imprinted in us.
And that is an extremely good and important point. And this is something, my friends, that's very important to understand. Stress. You have distress, which leads to dis-ease. And you have eustress, which is positive stress. Oh my God, you're home, Joey. I didn't know you were coming. Oh my God, I won the lottery. Oh my God. Do you think they're both stress?
Both are stress.
Absolutely. Same thing with trauma. Because weirdly enough, trauma is not only bad things. It's anything that creates a reorganizational event. Cha-ching. So the guy who sold me the coffee machine, and he connected the love and passion of his coffee because he came in at a much higher level than I had. And I was like, oh, okay. So now I have a habit that I have based on a positive experience that I actually appreciated and loved, and have used coffee to keep my high state, and have used coffee in order to remind myself of a loving state and a passionate state for years. So was that a reorganizational event that created ritualistic behavior? Trauma. Now, is all trauma good?
No.
Is all trauma bad?
No.
No, all of those things. Now, what is the essence? Do you use your reorganizational event to create a higher level of performance and rituals that then serve you? Or are you lowering your performance and creating rituals that destroy you? So far, my coffee hasn't destroyed me.
No, it has not
No, it
destroyed
hasn't
you.
destroyed me. But the point is that maybe too much coffee over many years could be something I can look at. But it's actually created a focus on what? On passion, on love, on drive, because this guy was so energetic. So I have his energy with me when I drink coffee. That's why I drink coffee, right? So it's not about the coffee in itself. Yes, caffeine is addictive and it's all these other things and you keep awake and blah, blah, blah. But now I realize that, you know what, maybe having that much coffee is not that great, especially after lunch, because maybe it affects my sleep quality. And when you're super passionate and super driven, you don't care about sleep,
No, you don't.
but you need it. So
The body still needs it.
yes, so at some point when things start getting out of balance because of your reorganizational event and your ritualistic behaviors, then you need to reevaluate them. And that, my friends, is how you run your life and you make yourself better. That's how I want you to look at yourself and choose what you want in your life, and know that the results that you're getting are based on what you're doing and how you're feeling and how you've organized yourself. And you and nobody else has power over that. You are that master. You are powerful.
But I just have to add, it could also be things you say. It doesn't have to be things you do necessarily. That's the pattern. It could also be things that you express.
Absolutely. Expression is a thing we do.
Because it's not only in the way that we do things. Like, you don't go around that corner because one time a clown popped up and said hello to you there. But it can also be the way you speak, and that's we see quite often, because some people you can actually, you know how the conversation is gonna be, what the sentence is gonna be said before you say it.
And that's actually often a proof of trauma, which is they go into a tape recorder. You know, it's like you say something like muffins. Oh, and they start talking about their ex. And if you want to have some fun, and you'll notice that the story about their ex is always the same one. And they have to kind of, oh, you know, he did this and this is, yeah, I know he did all these things because I was there when that happened.
But I was talking about this blueberry muffin.
Muffin. And then
And
next
then,
time.
okay, so your ex was a baker, and there we go.
Yeah, there we go again. Yeah, exactly. And every time you bring up whatever, it's like hitting a tape recorder. And very often they'll repeat over and over and over and over and over the same thing because they're actually not, they're basically working out some internal ritualistic scar. And that is related to that story. So every time that button's touched, weirdly enough, they're not actually getting better, they're getting worse. They're re-traumatizing themselves every time they go through that whole event and tell that whole event.
And I have found that to be, and the reason why I want to mention that was because I found that to be it was easy. I think for me it's been easier to look at what I'm saying than necessarily always what I'm doing. So it's been really helpful for me to find these patterns, saying, I said that one more time today. How many times I said that today? 6 times? 7 times? 150 times? And then to be able to kind of just ask the question, why am I saying that thing? And I found that to be very helpful from my process, at least. And it also helps you when you start listening to other people. First of all, you are listening to them instead of just waiting for you to respond. And you can also, like you said, you can hear when it makes it easier to communicate with people, because you can hear that they are in the track. Because if very interesting, because if you try to break the tape, they kind of go look into the room and just then and then you can get them back on track, and then the tape rolls. It's kind of, you have those what's it called, the one you do. You see what I'm trying to do?
No.
Record like the old
tape recorders?
old big ass CDs.
Oh, CDs? Like
No, big ass CDs.
Like a record.
Yes, like this one.
Yeah, the record. Yeah, the
and
LPs.
Yes,
The
LPs.
long plays, baby.
I was
LPs.
trying to make the sound of trying to be the machine. What's it called?
Yeah.
Record player?
Record player.
Oh, yeah. And then you have the needle and it goes.
Okay. Sheik, I know you listen to us. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, we're both old enough to. She's not old enough to remember the whole record thing. Yeah.
I never seen.
You never
one
had a
even.
record collection?
I never seen a. I was seen a record. I never see. But you understand that
Yeah,
that
I understand.
needle
The
thing.
yeah,
the one
the
that
needle. Yeah, yeah.
And then, so if you have like a, when you look at movies, at least you kind of it plays until you hit that spot and go yeah.
Yeah, it's a.
And then you're
it's a scratch in the. It's a scratch
yes.
it's scratching
and
the record.
then and that happens
And
often
it
if you try to
repeats.
Yeah, and then you have to go, and that was happens. People freeze because you broke the pattern.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
it.
you can lift that thing needle up, and then you can replace it, and it goes again.
Yes,
and that's I find also with people, if you dealing with people that have this pattern, is you can actually get them back in if they lose it. You can kind of jump them back in on the track, and they can continue to play.
Yeah, that's it. That's actually a therapeutic hypnotic technique that Milton Erickson used to use, actually. So well spotted. You shock them basically in one way or the other. You break their pattern. So the pattern is that, you mentioned Muffin, and they start talking about their ex who's a baker and how horrible this person was. And then you're like, oh my God, look. And they're like, what?
It's an elephant.
Oh, I thought it was a person we knew. Anyway, so Sunday, sun's going to be, the weather on Sunday, you can break the pattern, and actually you're helping them interrupt the story enough to not make it deeper and deeper and deeper. And sooner or later, the habit becomes not to go down that road anymore.
Yeah, because it's like you say, you actually, when you mention it, and this is said, isn't it saying that the power of the words, or what's it said? It's like your words have power, or what you say has power, which is true. And if you're saying that often enough, and you're bringing your ex into your consciousness often enough, and how bad they treated you, and you say that often enough, it's kind of, you're going to say it a lot of times.
Yeah.
And your subconsciousness picks it up, and the way you kind of say it with great posture and attitude, when you say your ex treated you like shit and poisoned the muffins or whatever.
Poison blueberry muffins. That's a bad guy right there. Yeah, it's a very bad guy. Yep. So remember, you matter. Unless you multiply yourself by the speed of light squared, then you're energy. And if you can't be energy, matter.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope you felt we added something to your day and hopefully your life. If you want to learn more, subscribe to our newsletter, and find us at integrated-human.com. That is integrated-human.com. Integrated Human on YouTube and other social media platforms. Have a great day, and thank you again for listening. Love, light, and upgrade from us at the Integrated Human team.